Right. Kafka, Franz Kafka. People say that his book's about bureaucracy. And yeah, kinda. But I can't help but think, we know his diaries. We know the mental illnesses that he had. We know the common themes of his life. He was in a household with a parent, his father, who basically was a tyrant, and there was no reason or logic to his tyranny. Makes you wonder, was he writing about bureaucracy purely, or was he drawn to the themes of bureaucracy and its meaninglessness because of the feelings he had? Like, this maybe obviously isn't a new thought, or maybe, I don't know, who knows. But if I was a highly nervous and depressed person, I would feel all these feelings of guilt and shame and hopelessness, because no matter my efforts, I wouldn't be getting better. And no matter my efforts, I'd be feeling feelings of guilt and shame, right? So it would make sense that he's drawn to themes in plots where his plots are the manifestation of the unwarranted guilt and shame and hopelessness that he experienced in his life. Like, even, I'm pretty sure he died of tuberculosis. That is a disorder in which at the time people thought they could do things for. They thought it was your temperament. But it wasn't. You need antibiotics and like a whole bunch of other different certain like waves antibiotics to get over it. Read John Green's new book. But all those things come together: the tyrannical dad, the nervous temperament, the tuberculosis, and also the fact that he was a legal clerk, I'm pretty sure. And you can see how he was drawn to themes of pointless bureaucracy, of despotic rule. You know, you can see how he was drawn to those themes. But I think it says more about his inner world than it does about our world. Like, yes, we know that bureaucracy is pointless. We know that there are downfalls to it. We know that alienation is a thing. Like the metamorphosis. I think the metamorphosis is more about how we treat people with illnesses and sort of throw them aside when they're useless and not suited for work. Read Foucault's civilization. Than it does about, I don't know, the bug thing. Haha. In the penal colony, that is literally someone getting punished and not being able to know why, and their body, them trying to analyze the cuts on their own body to figure out what is going on. Imagine a depressed person who is ruminating on why they are feeling depressed, trying to attribute a reason or a cause and try to blame themselves, or just trying to figure out what's going on. And they're reading the cuts on their body, but they don't know why they got the cuts on the body, because it's depression. It could be anything. It could be habits, it could be genes, it could be environmental, it could be attachment. You've got no idea. So, Kafka's books. The Castle. The Castle is a hopeless journey to try and get some semblance of reason and order. Right? The Trial. Same thing. But the harder that you push in the trial, the harder that you push to try and find an answer, the further away you get. You also get punished for it, essentially. And the last anecdote of the book, or the analogy in the book that comes from one of his short stories, where you're sitting in front of a door, and the man in front of the door says, "I'll let you in at some point," and he just sits there for eternity, and saying, you didn't have to come in. It's sort of like the more you fight against the things that make you mentally unwell, the more you give weight to it, and the more you don't realise that your freedom could be elsewhere. I don't know. I just think that we put too much weight on Kafka-esque meaning bureaucracy, and if you read his diaries, it really is about hopelessness, about feelings of guilt and shame. And if you look at the DSM criteria for the disorders that he would have undoubtedly had, those are the feelings. So if you're in a world where you're having those feelings and you can't find a clear reason, you will start to point towards that in your literature, in your writings, right? And because he's a creative fella, he was using analogies and metaphors. And yeah, I really think we need to give more weight to the fact that he was getting on feelings of hopelessness, unwarranted guilt, being watched, having rules made on your behalf by other people, not being understood by people. One of the worst and scariest things about his books, and worst I mean in a good sense, is that the people in his books the characters are desperately trying to get some sense of order, but their world is not coinciding with the order or the rationale or the things that he's saying. Fuck off, bro, you're behind me. You know what I mean? Like in America, things just happen and he has no control over it. He does the best he can, and he gets all these rules wrong that don't make sense, and he gets punished for them. And like, that's all his books, but in America it's really clear where like other characters will fuck up the bag for him, essentially. So Kafka, his books, yes, they are about bureaucracy, but if he was trying to protest against bureaucracy, I think he would have published more in his real life. I really think these analogies were ways of him trying to understand himself better and try to sort of understand that these situations, they feel bad because they're close to what he was feeling. I don't know. There's my little Kafka rant.